1979 Ford F-150, 351M with a 4-speed manual and 9-inch rear, 10-44 high pinion up front, short bed. My dad bought this truck new in 1979 at McLaughlin Ford in Auburn, California. It's the only place he could find a 4-speed, 4-wheel drive. It is not a Ranger. It had the external, the option package for the stripe, you know, the racetrack everybody calls it, put onto it. I'm told at the dealership, so it was originally ordered just in the red. Valentino is the name of the color, I think is what it was called. And then the exterior package was added to just a standard base model custom. So no air, no power windows, cruise control, air conditioning. Yeah, I think I already said air. But yeah, none of that stuff added to it. They neglected to add the little silver plate over the Ford logo in the back. So it's dealership told them that they were going to add it, but they never did. Actually, I like it better without the plate in the back. But as you can tell, truck has had a harsh life. Pretty dented and dinged and all beat up. The second time we took it camping, we took it to the Rubicon. I'm not sure what year it was, 80, 81, somewhere around there. I just know that the Rubicon was not finished and this truck was pretty fat to go through there. Not that my dad was the best four-wheeler around, but in pretty stock trim. This truck did go there and sustained a few of the dents seen here. This truck does, and I think all the short beds, it's thrown the driveline like 3 times. And in one case, actually drew through the driveline, and my dad locked the front hubs and drove it home front wheel drive, and actually busted universal in the universal down in here on the passenger side. So I don't know if you can see too well, but that guy's busted right there, right down in there. And he continued to drive it for another year after he had the driveline fixed. So needless to say, the front end is all loose as hell. All this stuff is all, it's kind of hard to do when I'm down here, but it all moves and jerks around from that wheel wobbling. It wobbled usually like 35 miles an hour, so he ended up parking it, and truck sat in the driveway from somewhere around 91, and then in around 97, yeah, here, see, 91 was last year it was registered, sat until probably 97 when we moved it into a backyard, and it sat under an oak tree where it got most of this discoloration. Show you the interior real quick. It was a tan interior, or I don't know if they called it saddle or what have you. Pretty chewed up. Did have a wood panel over the glove box, which I took off and cleaning up. When it was in the backyard, it became a rat's nest. So that the glove box is all done. Do you have the manual with the 4-wheel drive selector down there? Original radio back in it, not the original knobs. I gotta try to source some of those. Had AM. We used to take this truck camping primarily. My dad had a work truck, an F150 also, or excuse me, an F250, 68 with a 390. This just goes to show how low the mileage is. That's actual miles, 57,000. This truck was really only used on weekends until right up until the axle broke, really. I mean, it got, you know, we drive to the ocean or up to Pollock Pines and different places like that. So not a lot of miles, a lot of hard miles, especially after my dad stopped working for the company that he was working for, because he didn't have a daily driver work truck anymore. Used to have the old rifle rack installed from the dealership, and as a kid I used to sit with a harness. I stood here with a harness on, and I used to bang my head on the rifle rack, so my dad took it out. We used to not really put rifles in it, mostly fishing poles when we go camping. And this truck usually had a 6-pack camper shell on it, an aluminum one with the bubble windows and everything. Let's go look at the engine compartment. This is going to be a trick here. Hold on a second. There we go. 351M. I have the carb off of it right now because it's in my garage. Cleaned it all up. I haven't done the rebuild on it yet. I was considering sending it in to have done, but you know, some things are just, I'm going to end up screwing with it anyway. I might as well learn how to do it myself. All my, it is just a 2-barrel, oh, it's not Autolite, it's a Motorcraft. So it's not going to be like rocket science or anything. Heater core went out, so that's been blocked off. I tagged most of the smog pump stuff, and I do live in California, so I got to deal with all that crap. But yeah, you can see a lot of rust and everything. This block was actually not painted. It only the valve covers were painted, and so it going up to the snow and whatnot, it's just as rusty as can be. So even though it doesn't have that many miles on it, I might still, either depending on what I end up doing, either running it as is, just letting it be a truck, or I might pull it and freshen it up. I don't know, we'll see. Never had any issues with transmission. You know, obviously clutches and stuff, it's a manual, but yeah, pretty nasty in there. I still got original locking hubs on it. Those things probably don't even turn. This truck was actually stolen out of my dad's backyard after he had passed away. A friend was watching over the house, and despite it being all fenced in and all, you know, basically sitting on 4 flats, they still pulled it and stole it. Took it about 3 blocks away. We ended up finding it, called the police, and had to have it towed out of their yard, and I had it brought here. It was sitting in my carport, and then I had to move it to the driveway, and then I guess it was considered an eyesore because it's all beat up and everything, so I moved it to the RV pad that I got here. So more room to work on it back here and everything too, because I'm gonna have to, when they stole it, they knocked off all of the locking, because it had styled steel wheels. Actually, I think they were old Western wheels, but they knocked off any of the lugs that wouldn't turn anymore from being rusted. So I just got some Ford steel wheels. I think that one's actually my spare off my 96, and a couple of those, and just whatever would work on it. And I gotten as far as taking out the gas tank. So you can see that's all taken out of there. The float was rotten on it, the sending unit and all that stuff was all jacked up, so pulled the whole tank, cleaned it all out and everything. I actually do need to order, because it has that little vapor recovery, I gotta get the little plastic parts for that. You can see it's just single exhaust, so nothing spectacular going on over here, but between 351M and there's Charlie. Between the 351M and that compound first, this truck will climb anything anyway, and not really known for getting good gas mileage. I think it got around 13 miles per gallon if you were real easy on it with the manual. So, I mean, it's not going to get that now. So, at any rate, that's it. Big 9-inch. I think it's just 350 to 1. No locking diff, not locking, but you know, traction lock, I think is what Ford called it, limited slip. But all in all, that's her. I got rid of the Falcon and the Fairlane. I had to make room for this. This was my dad's, so this takes precedence over over the fairlane. I couldn't do anything to the fairlane anyway. It was very original. There's no room for modification. This thing, anything that I do to this will be an improvement. So, and the Falcon was a rust bucket. There was, you know, holes going into it all the time, so, or growing in it all the time. So, at any rate, that's it. Thanks.